Good morning, viewers. We are here to discuss that why does Hindu vote matters. We need to get educated from all the speakers, those who are here. I'll start first with Utsav Chakrabarti ji. He is from HinduPact. Renu Gupta, she is from HinduPact. Amulya Tyagi ji, he is from VHP. And Vinod Sudhakar, he has no Hindu identity and role in such a way, but he is a temple president. Welcome all of you on this educating seminar, why does a Hindu vote matters. Amulya ji, are you unmuted? Can we start with you then?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you properly.
Okay. All right.
We will start with you. Why does Hindu vote matters? Can you just explain us?
Yes, of course. First of all, thank you, Manan, for inviting me to this show. I appreciate that. So why does Hindu vote matter? It matters because we live in a democracy. In a democracy, people elect the leaders who make the laws, and the laws govern the society. And we are governed by those laws. So if we want to have a say in the making of the laws, we need to be participating in the political process. And one of the fundamental tool of participation in political process for anyone is the vote. It's a precious right, and we should all use that. Also, there's a saying called squeaky wheel gets the grease. So again, if we participate in the process, we can bring up the issues concerning our community, and interact with politicians of all sides, and get them to listen to us. And then and that is the way we can have an influence on the laws which are being made, which we all have to live by. And the other thing is, we should know, we should remember that politicians really care about those who vote. People who don't vote, they really don't care, because they know that, they are not really interested in what's going on. So it is imperative that Hindu community start participating in the political process in this country. It is for our benefit for today and also for future. That's all I have to say, Manan, on this.
Actually, you are on mute, Manan.
Rendu, can you just say something on why Hindu vote matters?
Sure. Actually, I want to give my point of view as a mother, grandmother. And what I'm looking at here is that we are laying the foundation for our future generation, that how safe and pride they will feel as a Hindu. If they see us voting and voting on the right cause for the Hindu cause, they are going to follow the same voting pattern. And then for them, the giving the vote, it will be very, very important. So take the advantage, and the right to vote is very important for us, for our children, grandchildren, for the future of Hindus. So I really urge all the parents to look into that they need to come forward and then register and vote, and then only they will see that our children, grandchildren will follow us.
Manan bhai, you're muted, and Utsavjeet goes next.
Okay. Utsavji, same question to you.
Thank you, Manan bhai, and welcome to our viewers. Uh, as Renuji and Tyagiji pointed out, the Hindu vote is very critical at this point of time in American politics. Two main reasons. Number one, the American Hindu is the fastest growing immigrant minority in this country as a religious minority. Uh, there are currently more than 4 million American Hindu voters, and the numbers are growing very fast. And when I say American Hindu voters, it's not just voters who are of Indian American origin, but Hindus from Nepal, Bangladesh, other parts of Southeast Asia, the Caribbean islands. So it's a very complex and a very diverse community that needs a voice and did not have a voice in the past. The other point that I want to make, why American Hindu vote matters, is because over the past 10 years, as the population of American Hindus have been growing, there has been a growing effort to target the community both in the public square as well as in the socio-political level, at the intellectual level. So, colonial tropes like caste are being increasingly used by anti-Hindu forces, which range from pan-Islamists to extreme left as well as extreme right groups, who carry often geopolitical agendas. And I can go into the details of naming groups like Council for American Islamic Relations, Islamic Circle of North America, and primarily operating with foreign influence operatives from Qatar, Turkey, Pakistan. So it's a very complex process, but the end game of that process has been that over the last 10 years, American Hindus are being increasingly targeted, and we are beginning to see attacks on Hindu temples, as you might have seen in the last couple of months in New York and California, beheading of Gandhi statues, as you might have seen in California and Washington D.C. More and more attacks on Hindus in campuses. A person who identifies and takes pride in being a Hindu is often called a fascist. The events like Dismantle Global Hindutva Conference that was sponsored by more than 38 universities, then events like Cancel Diwali and Cancel Holi. So all these combination of events, as well as efforts like that in the Cal State University system, where instead of working towards removing caste-based discrimination, as has happened in India and other parts of the Indian subcontinent, where Indian government is making efforts to reduce and remove discrimination on the basis of caste constitutionally, in the Cal State university system, caste is becoming an identification category so that people furthermore identify themselves on the basis of their caste. So steps like this, which are often led by the forces I mentioned, geopolitical forces that are very anti-Hindu in nature, these are increasingly affecting the lives of American Hindus. And it is going to increasingly affect the life of American Hindus going forward, our children, their children. So to make a big point short, this is the reason why we need to engage politically, and this is why every Hindu vote matters.
Vinod bhai.
Yeah, thank you, Manan, for inviting me to the show. Namaste, and hello to all your viewers. I just learned something on your show just now, a second ago, as to why Hindu vote matters. What Utsav brought up is news to me and actually quite discouraging. The world over, California is seen as a pioneer in progressive policy and lawmaking, and it seems like a very regressive policy to start to identify Hindus by their caste. That is actually shocking to me, and maybe that is exactly why Hindu vote matters. But from a 30,000-foot view, in a democracy, people enjoy the benefits of their participation in forming the government. So I would say every voter has a responsibility and has the onus on them to make the right choice. So it goes with Hindus. Hindu votes do matter, whether they are in India, whether they are in Nepal, or whether they are in the US. In the US specifically, I think the Hindu vote matters now with the numbers growing and policies requiring um, confrontation with some type of issues that Utsav brought up are important. The other consideration here, if you really look at what is going on world over, especially with Hindus, there has been a recent awareness and awakening of Hindus that are a very welcoming community. I am a Hindu myself. I grew up in India. We have a pluralistic belief. We believe that any God fearing person, God loving person is welcome. And that is why there is so much diversity in India, like the US. And it was actually a surprise to me over the last 10 years that I've seen agendas by people that are either culturally appropriating or are discriminating against Hindus. More importantly, there are issues that face our kids, our children here in the US or anywhere else in the world. And when a voter, a Hindu voter, gets up and casts his vote with respect to a policy that does affect their children's lives. So the decisions we make today affect the lives of our children, and that is why it is important that we vote, and that's why Hindu vote matters.
Thank you. Utsavji, let me to get everybody on the screen so we can discuss like a panel. Utsavji, this is for you. How have Hindu voters reached to the outreach efforts? Have you ever done this outreach effort, or and if yes, please can you elaborate on it?
Sure. So one of the main efforts that was being made here is through a website that has been very unique and that has been the first of its kind in the entire history of American uh, politics from the Hindu American community, and that is the HinduVote.org website. What this website does is, and I'll repeat the address, HinduVote.org. For those of our viewers who are willing to take a look at it, please go and visit it. Based on your zip code, you can look at each and every candidate that is running for the midterms, that is going to be in 2 weeks' time, and you can see the candidates' positions with respect to American Hindu community. So you can also rate those candidates based on your personal opinions about the issues that you care about. So there is a very nice questionnaire, and it's for all political parties that are getting involved, including independent candidates, because as a non-profit, the HinduVote.org website, which is made by HinduPact, it has to be non-political. So that has been one of the primary efforts of outreach that has been given by us to the community. And as those of us who are here today, Renuji, Tyagiji, and Vinodji, they have personally been involved in the outreach effort. So I think they can talk in detail about more on that.
Yes, Renuji.
Yeah, sure. Actually, we did few things in Cincinnati area, and what we did is we identified couple of good Hindu events where we realized that large population of Hindus will be visiting. So we set up a booth there, and we put a big sign "Hindu Vote Matters." Okay, and we have some material available for our people, who are visiting our booth. And what we did is we were telling everybody that, do you know what Hindu Vote Matters is? We were trying to educate them. Second thing, we asked them, are you eligible to vote? If they say yes, then we ask them, did you register to vote? And to my surprise, many people were not registered. So then we showed them the form and the link that here you can go and register yourself. Then we were talking about this website and also the questionnaire we handed out, that you should know who your candidates are and what they stand for. It is very important that they care and concern for Hindu cause, and it was very effective. Then we also handed out some of the information about Hindu candidates and the candidate who cares about Hindu issues, whether Democrat or Republican. We told everybody this is not important what your party's line is. Important is that you are a Hindu and who is addressing your Hindu issues. So it was very well taken, which we can discuss more. And we also knocked the doors. We went to door to door to talk to the people who the candidates are and what their issues are and how what their stand is. So this is what we have done. It was very successful. I think we have reached out. I would say at least couple of hundred people definitely in the events, and very well educated. And maybe Vinod can further add to that.
Yeah, I was going to Vinod by that. I heard that you did something personally on your personal efforts at the temple, something like that in Cincinnati. I'm not sure what exactly it was, but can you just let us know?
Yeah, well, the Cincinnati Hindu Temple of Greater Cincinnati is a 501(c) organization, or C3 organization rather, and we don't get involved in politics, but what we do is support the Hindu cause. And one thing to note over here, right, when you look at a Hindu voter, whether they are from Nepal, India, or anywhere else in the South Asian or Far East Asian region, typically they're financially or fiscally conservative and socially liberal. And what happens is when they come to this country, which has really two main political parties, they find it very hard to align with one political party or the other, because the parties are not exactly aligned, or actually 50% aligned with their ideology. So this education that Renuji and others conducted was quite informative to the voters. They understood what the issues were, and how the Hindu vote matters. And I truly believe, and this is my personal experience and my personal voting record, is that I don't align to a political party. I look at an issue. And I think that is what is more important, that voters should understand, that they should look at an issue. And there are several issues that the Hindus face as a community, as a collective, and they can then understand what the position of various lawmakers are that are running for office in their district, and then make a decision based on that. So the website that Utsav talked about, and the community outreach that Renuji talked about, were quite helpful. And our objective is to just provide that insight to the voters. We don't align with any specific political party, but very much myself, I'm issue based, and the Hindu Temple is independent and does not align with any political party.
Uh, Thank you, Vinodji. Amulya ji, you played a key role in working towards the bringing a bipartisan resolution on Bangladesh genocide. Tell us more about why it is important and how it helps global Hindu community.
Thank you, Manan, for asking that question. Why is it? Well, there are two parts here. Let me answer the first one. Why is it important to recognize what happened in 1971? For the audience, if most of you probably know, if you are young, you probably don't know. In 1971, for 10 months, Pakistani troops went into East Pakistan, which is now known as Bangladesh, and killed about 3 million people. Most of them, in my estimate, more than 90% of them were Hindus. And compare this number, 90% of the victims of Pakistani troops. That means about 2.7, 2.8 million Hindus were killed. The Hindus population in Bangladesh or East Pakistan at that time was, I believe, was more like 10% or maybe 12% of the population. So it was a concerted, organized effort dictated by the Pakistani dictator Yahya Khan to kill the Hindus, do an ethnic cleansing of East Pakistan. So that was the reason they were killed, just because they were Hindus. Now, unfortunately, nobody ever recognized this crime. Nobody ever cared for this crime, or nobody ever cared for for the victims of this crime. And effort has been made to do this. So it was important for us that this crime be recognized, because it is one of the most well documented genocide in the recent history. maybe I guess after the Jewish Holocaust, this is probably the most documented. It was documented by the various American agencies, government agencies, by United Nations agencies, by other countries like Australia, and of course by India. So it is a very well documented genocide, and yet nobody took any action. So, so its recognition is, that's why its recognition is very important for the Hindu community. This gives a message to the perpetrators that their crime is going to be, they will be held accountable for their crime, even though 51 years have passed. And Hindus and the Hindus matter. You know, it was so ignored as if Hindus don't matter at all to the world. So now with this recognition, it will give the message that we Hindus do matter. And so it is, that's why it is very important for us that this genocide be recognized. Now, so how did the resolution came about? I must say, Congressman Steve Chabot, thank him profusely, and we are so grateful to him for showing the courage and understanding the issue and showing the courage to introduce the resolution. And then, of course, I'm thankful to, the community is thankful to Ro Khanna also, the Democratic congressman from California. So this is a bipartisan resolution, and this is something. This is the way our community needs to work in the political system here, on a bipartisan basis, issue-based bipartisan basis. We have to interact with both sides. And that's exactly what we did on this one. So hopefully this this gives us a good example to go ahead and continue our involvement, interaction with politicians, continue our involvement with the political process in this manner.
Utsavji, the way Amulya Tyagi ji has brought up this resolution, I would like to ask you, why after 50 years? Why it never been before, and now, why now?
It's a very good question. So I'll tell you the reason why it took 50 years, and I'll tell you why it is important now, in addition to what Tyagi pointed out. It took 50 years because for all these years, our community did not have the ability to make a concerted effort through a unified single point initiative with the lawmakers to achieve this. So that was number one reason. And when the 50th anniversary happened last year, it was decided within the community between different organizations, and Tyagi ji and Renu ji here, Vinod ji here, they all played a key role in terms of bringing together the community to make this call that 50 years have passed, nothing has been done, and something needs to be done. So in a way, this was an example of how far the community has come from being a newly immigrant community to this country, who came in large numbers primarily in the 60s and 70s and found a place for themselves, effectively becoming valuable contributors to the American society, to becoming a voice where they can bring about resolutions like this that affect the geopolitical future of their region based on the events that happened 50 years ago. So that is number one, that it took 50 years for us to come together and make a call. And I cannot praise the Cincinnati team sitting in front of me enough for being the leader on that. The point number two, why it is important going forward. It is important going forward because, as Tyagi said, that the stream of geopolitics doesn't end. Of those of you who are watching what is happening in Europe, what is happening in Russia and Ukraine, will very well identify that history has a very bad habit of repeating itself in spirals, with just technology being the dimension that moves forward often. So we have to be conscious and always be ready to address that events that have happened in the past, tragedies that have happened in the past, will have a tendency to repeat themselves if they are not addressed properly, and if those responsible for those tragedies are not brought to justice. They need to be brought to justice. So the reason why this is going forward very important is that those people who were responsible for the 1971 genocide through this resolution and through effective policy making after that will be held accountable, and their future ideological progeny will be held highly responsible for crimes they're committing now and in the future. And hopefully, this will be disincentive enough for them to not repeat the mistakes of the past.
Vinodji, would you like to say something on that? Why?
Yes, thank you, Manan. You probably saw my body language and picked up that I have a few things to say on this. Um, I do think there were three crimes committed, three crimes. First was by the Pakistani leadership, military leadership, in executing this genocide of 3 million people. The second is by all the world, the entire world. And I was born by then, so maybe part of that blame goes on me as well. But the world remained quiet and silent and a mute spectator to this, barring the involvement by the Indian army in trying to intervene, and thus leading to the separation of East Pakistan into Bangladesh. Everybody else was a mute spectator and an observer to this. That is the second crime. The third crime is that it took 50 years. All right. I do agree with Utsav that the perpetrators should be brought to justice, but several of the perpetrators went scot free. Their lives have ended naturally. They should have ended behind bars. But in any organization, if a leadership of a particular organization takes a decision, it's not just the individuals that should be held accountable, that organization should also be held accountable. And in this case, the Pakistani military should be held accountable. When this resolution is brought forward, I do believe there is going to be pressure on the Pakistani military to behave responsibly as an organization, and their actions will be watched very carefully, to be candid, under the microscope by the whole world.
Thank you so much for that. Again, I will come to Utsavji. What do you see next after the midterm of Hindu vote campaign?
Well, this is just the beginning. What you see here is a template. At the national level, the HinduVote.org is a template. At the city and the state level, what Vinodji, Tyagiji, and Renuji are doing collectively is a template that is going to be applied, hopefully, and scaled up across the country. We hope that this model will help engage more and more people after the midterms, and the process will continue, because, as you know, every 2 years there is a congressional election, and every 4 years there is a presidential election. So this process is going to continue to expand, and hopefully we will be learning from what we are gathering right now. We will be analyzing, making ourselves more effective going forward.
Renuji, what has been reaction of the community to the voters' education effort?
Actually, it was very interesting. When we set up the booth, people were skeptical. What it is, they don't know. Then I said, well, this is a Hindu vote matters. That means your vote is important. So first reaction was very skeptical. Second was doubtful, confused. But then once you educate them, they were very excited and positive about it. And they wanted to come and talk. Even people who are just students or even migrants or green card holders, they came and they talked about it. I said, well, you are going to be in the future have a voting right sometimes. So it's good to learn about that right now. So I would say reaction was pretty good. It was new thing for them. It was new thing for us. But it was a good learning process between both of us. And I see that more and more people are interested in knowing about their rights and knowing about their candidates, what to ask for it, what to look into it. That was the more important. When we had a door-to-door campaign, and I personally went to almost like 70 homes in 2 days, and almost 90% were very positive. They read what we wanted to share, and they listened to us, and they were very positive about it. Yes, we should do it. Okay, yeah, we should look into our candidacy, and we should vote for the right person. So I was very happy. I was not expecting that kind of reaction, but I think Vinod can also add something to it because he was part of it.
Yeah, certainly. Actually, it was the first time I have been on a door-to-door campaign for any election, for that matter, anywhere in the world, and it was quite gratifying to me as I went out and knocked on doors. People came out. In fact, several times it was quite interesting. People came out, and the kids came out as well with them to discuss what we had to say. The message that don't align to a political party, align to an issue, and look at not just your personal issues, but look at your community's issues, because your kids are going to be part of the community and they are going to be impacted by your decisions today. And the fact that you should not just look at national issues, but look at local issues and local candidates and where they stand on issues, all those conversations were quite well received. I did not have any negative experience. I know a couple of people that Renuji visited might have had a little bit of a standoffish attitude, but in our case, we actually had to make an effort to leave some homes as people were quite engaging. And we wanted to limit that to about 5 minutes per home. So I visited about 70 homes myself with several other people, and it was quite an enriching experience for me.
Actually, I want to add one thing, Manan bhai, quickly. When we went there, we said, Namaskar, I am a Hindu volunteer. I'm not Democrat, I'm not Republican. I'm just a Hindu volunteer and I'm here to educate you and share you some views and some material and documents about the candidates. That was a very simple statement we started with and went very well.
It went well.
Hmm.
Nobody argued with you.
No? I think when you say you are Hindu volunteer, you are clearing the whole position. That's what happened.
One interesting episode I had was somebody said, I'm a Republican and I'm going to go to vote a certain way. And I had to stop that person and say, okay, well, let's backtrack. We're talking about the Hindu vote,
Yeah.
and we want to educate you on the issues. And there are Democrats as well that support Hindu agenda. So let's take a look at that.
Vinodji, there is some misunderstanding still, though I know that you were at the HMEC, that conference, right? Still, Hindu Mandir executives had not been well educated the way you have taken the initiative to just say, okay, bhai, vote for Hindus, whoever support them, right? Vote for the candidate, sorry, not for the Hindus, but those who are supporting Hindu cause. Is there any legal thing that binding them not to do that? Why these guys are so much scared about it, not having their booth at that temple?
I think there is a misconception amongst temples and executives that, as a nonprofit 501c3 organization, you educating the voters is construed as you affiliating with a political party. And that misconception is something that needs to be cleared. You are representing a community, and it is your duty in every temple to look at all the needs of that community. And if all you're offering in that temple is a place for worship, and the people cannot get there because they've been obstructed by for various reasons, then what is the point? So I think the temple is a place for good discussion as well for the community. And of course, there is a fine line. You cannot come out and say, do this. What you say is, here is what information we have available. Please review that. And based on that, you make your decision. Voting is a very personal decision, and every voter has a right to make their own decision. Our agenda is to just educate the voters.
Utsavji, would you like to just give a little bit on that?
Yes, I just wanted to add that in America, it is becoming increasingly visible that younger American Hindus are not going to find the temples to be important to their everyday life if they are not able to engage with everyday issues at the temple. So, what is going to happen is that if temples do not take a key role in educating public on different issues that are concerning the Hindu American community, including voter education, then slowly and increasingly they will become alienated from the population. And right now, because there is a very large volume of immigrant population coming from India, the temple communities around the countries have a steady flow of devotees. But going forward, as America primarily becomes a country where Hindus who are born in this country and their children are the beholders of the Hindu tradition and the Sanatana Dharma in this country, it is important that temples become a place where such educational efforts are prime and center to the temple's initiatives, along with the other devotional activities that the temples are already doing in a very good way.
Actually, I'd like to add to that again, Manan, please.
Yeah.
So our temples, in the last 30 years, there are 1,100 temples that came up in the U.S. And a lot of credit goes to several of the pioneers that have set up these temples. But the needs of those days have changed. I think Utsav is absolutely right. You have to engage the youth, the Hindu youth, with their everyday issues. And something that you ought to know is I spoke to several youth, and in fact, there is a group of people, high school students and college students, that got together, and they have a very pointed message to their elders. They said, "You have not done a good enough job of addressing our issues. You've not helped us enough with our Hindu identity, and you've not addressed how we can imbibe more about Hinduism and learn and build our own identity." So they've actually gone out and are in the process of making a documentary on Hinduism. And it's called Project Janani. You can look it up. It's projectjanani.org. And I think the documentary is going to be released sometime next year. But that is exactly what is happening. The youth are not able to connect to the temples because the temples are missing the boat. They really need to engage the community. It is not just about offering a ritualistic avenue. It is also a spiritual education and an identity development venue. That's what a temple really is.
Thank you, Vinod ji. Amulya ji, how did you engage politicians to support Hindu topics? And I'll be coming with this question to all of you, so be ready for that, okay?
Well, if you have a legitimate issue, then you will have facts to back it. And if you have that and approach the politician, and the politician is has an open mind, listening to to listen to the constituents, they will listen. And if you show them enough facts, and why is this issue hurting the community, why it should be corrected, whatever correction needs to be made, they listen. For example, on this genocide resolution we were talking about earlier, that's what we did. We presented Steve Shabbat with facts and why it is important to recognize this genocide, and why it is so emotional for us. And so based on that, he acted. So that's what we need to do. We need to present the facts and explain to them why this issue is important for the community. For example, if I take just a little bit, a minute or so, that issue I think Utsav brought earlier about in California, they have passed this. They have made it a rule that Hindu students will have to identify by their caste. Now, we all know there is no caste system among the Hindu community in United States. We don't live in India. We are living in the United States. There is no caste system here. So why is this resolution? Why is this thing?
No, but if I'm not wrong, casteism is already abolished in India as well, right?
Yeah, right. By legally, but maybe it is practiced. But that's a different issue. We are not in India. Hindu community, Hindu society in the United States has no caste system, period. And particularly the next generation, they don't even know what caste means. So why was this done? It was done because of the effort of anti-Hindu groups. And why it could not be prevented? because we did not interact. We did not participate in the political process. We didn't interact with the politicians. We didn't bring out the issue and with the facts that it is a wrong policy. This is an example of what can happen if you don't do what interact with the politicians, and Bangladesh resolution is an example what can happen if we interact with the politicians with the facts.
Renuji, please, do you have anything on
Actually, I want to give you another very really interesting one. When we had our mayor one, who has Cincinnati mayor, who has a very unique qualifications, actually, from a Hindu Sikh community and with different backgrounds. So what we thought about it, let's have a reception for mayor on behalf of all the Hindu organizations in Cincinnati. And I just want to give you that example that how you can engage. So when he came, we introduced him all different Hindu Sai temples, Swaminarayan Mandir, Hindu Mandir, Eskon, Swadhyay, everybody. Okay, and then so that he could see that all Hindu organizations coming together to welcome him, and it was a very positive, very simple activity, but that helps us connected. And important is that you stay in touch with the politicians, lawmakers, at time to time in different level. It's not that you are going to go and complain to them all the time. Invite them to your places. You go to their offices, have them for the lunch, and have a dialogue. And then what Tyagi said, always come with the proof and documentation and solid reason why you are here. Okay, and that worked.
Vinodji?
I think the lawmakers, the politicians in this country are very approachable. I will share with you one of the questions I asked both Cincinnati Mayor Aftab Purewal as well as Congressman Steve Chabot, saying, what can we do to enrich this community and contribute more to this country? And their answer was very similar, different words, but very similar. One, they both said, preserve your culture because you bring vibrancy to this country. All right. Do not let people, overpower you or overwhelm you, and express your culture, express your religion, participate in everything. But they also said integrate into the community. All right. And both those are very important. And integrating into the community also means, as voters, as Hindu voters, that we engage with the politicians. We tell them what our issues are as Hindus. We tell them what our issues are as Hindus in a smaller community, but also at a national or international level. And unless you tell them, they do not assume that they know. They probably know, but they also need to know that you are concerned about it as a voter in their district. And I think that is why it is important to engage, and that is how we engage with politicians.
Utsavji?
Well, there is a saying that if you are not in the kitchen, you are on the menu, and I think nothing more represents that than present day American politics. So if Hindus need to be heard, if Hindus need to be present, and if they need to work towards their future, then they need to engage. And I think my experience has been that politicians are very approachable, and they will be listening to you if you have facts and reason on your side. And I think that is what we have been doing. One of the reasons why we have been so successful in getting many things done in a short period of time is because we have facts and reason on our side. And most Hindu Americans, I would say the largest percentage of any immigrant communities, they are very law abiding, contributing citizens to this country. So I think that is something that everybody appreciates, and I think that is why leaders are very open to our voice, and that's a positive thing going forward.
Vinodji, one last question for you.
Okay.
Maybe it sounds funny to you, but I heard that you were talking to me previous we started this discussion that one of the politicians asked that if you don't come to us, then we believe that you are on the other side. What was that?
Well, politicians know what is going on out in the community, right? And when they feel strongly about a particular issue, and they don't hear their voters come up to them, then they assume that because of various reasons or various affiliations or alignment issues, you're going out, especially in this country, and talking to the other party. Okay, there are only two major political parties in this country, and you've not brought the issues to them. Then they assume that you're going and bringing those issues to the other political party. Our job is to really take the issues to both political parties. That is an important responsibility that we have on our shoulders.
Those who support Hindu cause, right?
Yes.
So, panelist, anything else you want to share, or you want to say
I
something?
want to say
Closing
something.
statement.
Mhm. In last 1 year, we have visited, or we have been in communication with 30 times minimum with our lawmakers and the city councils. And then what has happened is one positive thing happened. Now we are being invited to recite Hindu shlok or prayers before the trustee meeting in our city. So that's what happens once you are in touch with them, or like sharing Diwali mithai. That's another good gesture from you. There's the appreciation we go and do it. So stay in touch with your city councils, with your lawmakers, and have a regular positive dialogue. That will help. You should be recognized. You should be acknowledged.
Manan, can
Yeah,
I say one thing, uh, one more thing to end it? Uh, I would like to say to our community members that please, yeah, it's time for us to start thinking as a community. Not individuals, of course, we have to have our interests, but if we don't act on a community basis, if we, no matter how good a relations an individual develops with a politician, no matter how much money you contribute to a politician as an individual, if the community support is not there, if community is not involved, is not much. You are not going to gain much. You will gain only when the community is involved. Then you yourself will gain, and everybody else in the community and the future generation will benefit. And again, I want to bring out the caste resolution in California. People should hear about this other people who have studied it, and who can tell you what a devastating effect it is designed to have on the Hindu society. And again, this is because Hindu community did not act as a community. A lot of individuals are active in politics, and they donate money and this and that, and they have personal relations with some politicians, but that's not going to help the community. That's not going to help you in the end run, and not your children. So start thinking on a community basis, and the future generations, not just your individual contacts and individual friendship with a politician.
Vinodji, closing
Yeah, I
statement.
think I want to pick up on the California issue again. I think that amounts to, like I said earlier, a very regressive outlook, and actually amounts to religious shaming. And I just want all the audience, especially the younger generation, the youth that is looking at this video, and remind them that Hinduism has, over generations, over centuries, been a pluralistic, very welcoming religion, a peace loving religion, and we should be immensely proud of our contributions to the world. I'm also aware that in California, the word Hindu was removed from a reference to yoga. Well, Hindus brought yoga to the world, and I don't think that means that there is a monopoly on it, that people cannot practice yoga unless you're a Hindu. There's nothing like that. But the fact that Hindus introduced yoga was struck, and that is, I would say, is cultural appropriation, and that they want to take our good, but they really don't want us. And The way to counter that is with pride. We know who we are, we understand our identity, and we collectively express our pride.
Utsavji, closing statement, please.
I would just close by saying that, what you see today, what you hear today is just the tip of the iceberg, both in terms of the issues we face as well as the solutions we are providing. We have a long way to go. Those of us who are dealing with the issues depend on the people's support to go forward. So the more people engage with us, the more people work with us, and the more we are able to work together with the community, the more successful we are. It is also very important that people understand that this is not something that is going to go away. Those who target us, those who are working against us, and trust me, it is happening every day in the public square and in campuses, they carry a historical grievances. They carry those grievances from other parts of the world, and they gather new grievances from local societies in America. We have to work together to make sure that future generations of Hindus in America remain proud Americans, and America remains a country worth being proud of. That would be my closing statement.
Thank you all to joining with the Bharat Media.
Thank you, Manan.
Thank you. Thank you.
Namaste.
Bharat.
Thank you.